She did not lower her head. Her face expressed neither shame nor embarrassment. "Is it possible?" stammered M. d'Imblevalle. "I would never have believed. You are the last person I should have suspected. How did you do it, unhappy girl?" She said: "I did as Mr. Shears has said. On Saturday night, I came down here to the boudoir, took the lamp, and in the morning carried it to that man." "But no," objected the baron. "What you say is impossible." "Impossible? Why?" "Because I found the door of the boudoir locked in the morning." She colored, lost countenance, and looked at Shears as though to ask his advice. The Englishman seemed struck by Alice's embarrassment even more than by the baron's objection. Had she, then, no reply to make? Did the confession that confirmed the explanation which he, Shears, had given of the theft of the Jewish lamp conceal a lie which an examination of the facts at once laid bare? The baron continued: "The door was locked, I repeat. I declare that I found the bolt as I left it at night. If you had come that way as you pretend, some one must have opened the door to you from the inside, that is to say, from the boudoir or from our bedroom. Now, there was no one in these two rooms, no one except my wife and myself." Shears bent down quickly and covered his face with his two hands to hide it. He had flushed scarlet. Something resembling too sudden a light had struck him and left him dazed and ill at ease. The whole stood revealed to him like a dim landscape from which the darkness was suddenly lifting. Alice Demun was innocent. Alice Demun was innocent! That was a certain, blinding fact, and at the same time explained the sort of embarrassment which he had felt since the first day at directing the terrible accusation against this young girl. He saw clearly now. He knew. It needed but a movement, and then and there the irrefutable proof would stand forth before him. He raised his head, and after a few seconds, as naturally as he could, turned his eyes toward Mme. d'Imblevalle. She was pale, with that unaccustomed pallor that overcomes us at the relentless hours of life. Her hands, which she strove to hide, trembled imperceptibly. "Another second," thought Shears, "and she will have betrayed herself." He placed himself between her and her husband, with the imperious longing to ward off the terrible danger which, through his fault, threatened this man and this woman. But at the sight of the baron he shuddered to the very depths of his being. The same sudden revelation which had dazzled him with its brilliancy was now enlightening M. d'Imblevalle. The same thought was working in the husband's brain. He understood in his turn. He saw. Desperately, Alice Demun strove to resist the implacable truth. "You are right, monsieur. I made a mistake. As a matter of fact, I did not come in this way. I went through the hall and the garden, and with the help of a ladder." It was a supreme effort of devotion, but a useless effort. The words did not ring true. The voice had lost its assurance, and the sweet girl was no longer able to retain her limpid glance and her great air of sincerity. She hung her head, defeated. The silence was frightful. Mme. d'Imblevalle waited, her features livid and drawn with anguish and fear. The baron seemed to be still struggling, as though refusing to believe in the downfall of his happiness. At last he stammered: "Speak! Explain yourself!" "I have nothing to say, my poor friend," she said, in a very low voice, her features wrung with despair. "Then, mademoiselle—" "Mademoiselle saved me, through devotion, through affection, and accused herself." "Saved you from what? From whom?" "From that man." "Bresson?" "Yes, he held me by his threats. I met him at a friend's house, and I had the madness to listen to him. Oh, there was nothing that you cannot forgive, but I wrote him 2 letters. You shall see them. I bought them back, you know how. Oh, have pity on me. I have been so unhappy. You, Suzanne!" He raised his clenched fists to her, ready to beat her, ready to kill her. But his arms fell to his sides and he murmured again: "You, Suzanne, you." Is it possible?" In short, abrupt sentences, she told the heart-breaking and commonplace story: her terrified awakening in the face of the man's infamy, her remorse, her madness. And she also described Alice's admirable conduct: the girl suspecting her mistress's despair, forcing a confession from her, writing to Lupin, and contriving this story of a robbery to save her from Bresson's clutches. "You, Suzanne, you!" repeated M. d'Imblevalle, bent double, overwhelmed. "How could you?" On the evening of the same day, the steamer Ville de Londres, from Calais to Dover, was gliding slowly over the motionless water. The night was dark and calm. Peaceful clouds were suggested rather than seen above the boat, and all around light veils of mist separated her from the infinite space in which the moon and the stars were shedding their cold but invisible radiance. Most of the passengers had gone to the cabins and saloons. A few of them, however, bolder than the rest, were walking up and down the deck, or else dozing under thick rugs in the big rocking-chairs. Here and there the gleam showed of a cigar, and mingling with the gentle breath of the wind came the murmur of voices that dared not rise high in the great solemn silence. One of the passengers, who was walking to and fro with even strides, stopped beside a person stretched out on a bench, looked at her, and when she moved slightly, said: "I thought you were asleep, Mademoiselle Alice." "No, Mr. Shears, I do not feel sleepy. I was thinking." "What of? Is it indiscreet to ask?" "I was thinking of Madame d'Imblevalle. How sad she must be! Her life is ruined." "Not at all, not at all," he said eagerly. "Her fault is not one of those which can never be forgiven. Monsieur d'Imblevalle will forget that lapse. Already, when we left, he was looking at her less harshly." "Perhaps, but it will take long to forget. And she's suffering." "Are you very fond of her?" "Very. That gave me such strength to smile when I was trembling with fear, to look you in the face when I wanted to avoid your glance." "And are you unhappy at leaving her?" "Most unhappy. I have no relations or friends. I had only her." "You shall have friends," said the Englishman whom this grief was upsetting. "I promise you that. I have connections. I have much influence. I assure you that you will not regret your position." "Perhaps, but Madame d'Imblevalle will not be there." They exchanged no more words. Holmlock Shears took 2 or 3 more turns along the deck, and then came back and settled down near his travelling companion. The misty curtain lifted, and the clouds seemed to part in the sky. Stars twinkled up above. Shears took his pipe from the pocket of his Inverness cape, filled it and struck 4 matches, one after the other, without succeeding in lighting it. As he had none left, he rose and said to a gentleman seated a few steps off: "Could you oblige me with a light, please?" The gentleman opened the box of fuses and struck one. A flame blazed up. By its light, Shears saw Arsène Lupin. If the Englishman had not given a tiny movement, an almost imperceptible movement of recoil, Lupin might have thought that his presence on board was known to him, so great was the mastery which Shears retained over himself, and so natural the ease with which he held out his hand to his adversary. "Keeping well, Monsieur Lupin?" "Bravo!" exclaimed Lupin, from whom this self-command drew a cry of admiration. "Bravo? What for?" "What for? You'll see me reappear before you like a ghost, after witnessing my dive into the Seine, and, from pride, from a miraculous pride which I will call essentially British, you give not a movement of astonishment, you utter not a word of surprise. Upon my word, I repeat, bravo! It's admirable." "There's nothing admirable about it. From the way you fell off the boat, I could see that you fell of your own accord and that you had not been struck by the sergeant's shot." "And you went away without knowing what became of me?" "What became of you? I knew. 500 people were commanding the 2 banks over a distance of 3/4 of a mile. Once you escaped death, your capture was certain." "And yet I'm here." "Monsieur Lupin, there are 2 men in the world of whom nothing can astonish me: myself first, and you next.